Holy cow, that is one war-torn area that is completely devastated. The scale of human suffering. Wait, what? That's Seattle? Are you freaking kidding me? Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org, and we have a lot of absolutely crucial information to get into, as of course the situation is only getting more out of hand geopolitically, as it's soon, of course, going to be affecting you, your loved ones, and everyone else involved. We're dealing with a very serious situation here, and the truth absolutely matters during these drastic situations, as we are going to be doing our best to give you a full rundown and explanation of the exact situation unfolding right now, and of course the implications, which are absolutely daunting here. And before getting into all of that, plus a lot more, a quick domestic update. Yes, the video footage that I started off this broadcast is from Seattle, Washington, and I think it's fair to say that domestically here inside of the United States, major urban areas have been devastated by failed policies, restrictions, lockdowns, mandates, and centralization of power, which in some instances is going away, as the New York City mayor just announced that he is ending domestic passport systems, mandates, and a pay-per-please system that was instituted in that city that largely discriminated against people's own private decisions and bodily autonomy. Kids also in the state of New York no longer have to wear masks, and of course this is a major U-turn that we were telling you was going to happen when it came to the narrative and agenda that just dominated our lives for the past 2 years that has now completely gone away. We also told you that the establishment needed a larger distraction to make sure that the politicians aren't held accountable for their failed policies, and now we have a war in Ukraine. A major conflict that has escalated, that is filled with a lot of disinformation, propaganda. We talked about that in yesterday's video. I want to talk about it lightly before getting into the major developments here, as of course some people are exploiting this tragedy on TikTok, releasing fake videos that have been going viral, have been seen by millions of people, especially on their Join Live feature, where some people are pretending to be in Ukraine, faking crying, faking audio of explosions and shots in order to collect donation revenue, which is absolutely sickening. Now, of course, a lot of the videos being purported are actually fake. A lot of them are from video games. Some of them are even being promoted by governments. And of course, when it comes to war, truth is the first casualty, and you should be made aware of that. A lot of information out there has been doctored, has been faked. A lot of it. And it's not just some unethical TikTokers exploiting this situation for donations on their platform. It's also for geopolitical gains and support. And I'll be honest with you, with so much fake news out there, it's hard to determine what is correct and what is not. For example, we have the situation when it comes to the president of Ukraine. You have the Russians and a state Duma leader coming out and saying that Zelensky has fled Kiev and has pre-recorded videos that he is releasing, allegedly showing him there for fake propaganda purposes. This is the claim made by the Russians. On the other hand, on the West, you have stories of the Ukrainian president being defiant, staying inside of Kiev, officially turning down American escape plans and asking for more munitions as he double downs and takes selfies from the streets of Kiev. Now, what's really going on here? Who really knows? But again, this kind of lazy journalism with many mainstream media organizations recycling old photos of Zelensky as if they were modern day photos of him does not help the situation, since of course these photos are from months ago, not from the modern day, and lead people to of course be skeptical of what's going on here. And again, there's a lot of examples of lazy journalism and reporting that of course has everyone skeptical about this entire situation. And my perspective from this is that we could all do better, especially U.S. Congressman Adam Kinzinger, who tweeted out fake photos from years ago as if they were from today. And even from this report, he looks like he fell for a freaking Sam Hyde meme. Yes, this is the man that labels himself the slayer of conspiracy theories, which is absolutely ridiculous. And again, as an independent media organization, we're not perfect, but we strive to be as good as we can. We apologize when we make mistakes. And of course, there's some things that we can't even say that we have to save for our own platform, LukeUncensored.com, where of course we will be continuing this conversation and talk about some more spicy topics related to this entire situation, as there's a lot of videos, a lot of things that we can't talk about here on this platform that of course we're going to be specific specifically talking about later on today. Click the link down in the description below to find out more, and I hope to see you there later on today for the continued conversation that we're going to be having. Now, one of the things that really stuck out to me today is that the ever so incoherent and up in the air President of the United States, Joe Biden, even recognizes the seriousness of this situation as he brought up the fact that there is a potential for a big global conflict to unfold from this currently limited war that is happening in Ukraine. Now, in yesterday's video about this topic, we talked about the potential for things to de-escalate as Russia and Ukraine agreed to meetings, and from the latest developments that we're getting today, those meetings will most likely fail, as of course Ukraine has applied for an emergency membership to the European Union, which the president of Ukraine says the country has earned with, of course, fighting Russia. Will the European Union accept Ukraine into its centralized bureaucracy? Well, according to the European Commission president, she wants Ukraine to be a part of the European Union. What will happen, though, actually? Well, only time will tell, but it looks like Ukraine is trying to gain leverage over, of course, the negotiations that will be taking place with Russia. Kosovo has also asked for permanent U.S. military bases and a speedier acceptance into NATO, as we have to remind ourselves that this conflict predominantly started, allegedly according to the Russians, because of NATO expansion that has been happening on the doorsteps of and on the Russian border. Now, even though there's peace talks ongoing, there's also huge convoys of Belarusian tanks and troops seen, of course, mobilizing towards Ukraine, as, of course, we also have gained initial reports that Russia has only sent in 1/3 of its mobilized troops on the Ukrainian border and has yet still to implement a lot of its latest, more developed military hardware in this region, as honestly, it does look like Russia is sending in a lot of their older military hardware, especially when you compare what they're sending into Ukraine and what they were using in Syria before. Now, the president of Belarus, who's working with the Russians, also made a very important statement saying that sanctions, economic warfare by the West against Russia is, quote, pushing Russia towards a global conflict that will escalate further beyond Ukraine. And with the situation looking like it's becoming more desperate for both sides, we have to realize that this is an option here. And the fact that this is even a possibility, that this is on our doorsteps, should be absolutely terrifying for everyone, as of course the implications here are vast and can quickly escalate and involve everyone. The president of Belarus is also warning about a meat grinder situation unfolding in Ukraine, and with the amount of weapons being sent there, I think it's fair to assume that his statements are absolutely correct about this situation and how it's going to be unfolding from here, as a lot of countries like Sweden, like Germany, that just broke the 1940s tradition and has decided to transfer arms to Ukraine, along, of course, with the European Union that also decided to purchase and deliver weapons into the region, as the European Union now also plans to supply Ukraine with fighter jets. And I would even potentially go further than the president of Belarus and say that the situation might be even worse than a meat grinder, as already some of the photos and videos that we're getting from Ukraine are absolutely devastating and show a huge loss of life, which is only going to be escalating from here. It's also important to note that this conflict is not just being fought in Ukraine, it's also being fought financially, as even Switzerland announced that they're going to be freezing the assets of Russians. Some Russian banks were kicked out of the SWIFT international monetary system. Norway has just decided to drop $1.3 trillion of a wealth fund connected to Russia. A lot of sanctions which are hitting Russian oligarchs and billionaires have seen some of their homes seized. This, of course, having a very negative effect on the ruble, as Putin just had an emergency meeting with the oligarchs, with the billionaires of his country, describing his moves, the situation, as of course interest rates have gone up as high as 20% in Russia. There have been major run on the banks made there, as some ATMs are running out of money. And as you can see by the map here, there have been many sanctions made against Russia from countries all around the world. The European Union has also banned flights flying from Russia using its airspace. Russia also just banned the European Union from using its airspace, and overall we are seeing a tit-for-tat situation that is escalating from here. Now, there are some important hypocrisies to call out, just like Congressman Eric Swalwell that was on CNN, specifically calling for the mass deportation of Russian students in the United States. This is, by the way, the same man that slept with a known Chinese spy that helped put him in a position of power as he was on the Intelligence Committee having inappropriate conduct with her. One person decided to respond to this latest news from Eric Swalwell by posting this video. Which I thought was appropriate. Also, it's important to note here that the Ukrainian people are fundraising for their war efforts with cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, which the corporate media looks like it's celebrating and promoting now, when, of course, just 2 weeks ago they were telling you about how evil Bitcoin was because Canadian protesters were using it for a legal fund to fight the Canadian mandates in court. Now the corporate media really likes Bitcoin. They really like nationalism and people arming themselves, which I think is some important hypocrisy to call out. Now, what's going to be happening here specifically with China, specifically with energy policy, especially with the price at the pump? Well, if you want to learn about that, we're going to be discussing that specifically on LukeUncensored.com later on today. I hope you join us for that conversation, as that specifically will be our topic. Again, this is a fast-moving story, lots of information. If you thought I got anything wrong, please let me know, because again, it's very hard to report on some of the latest developments that are happening here. But your constructive feedback is important. Your participation in the news is important, and that's why I value the comments and don't shut them off like the majority of corporate media outlets that, of course, deny people the ability to even address the news that they're delivering to the people. Again, comments are extremely important, and I thank you for participating in that. If you thought what I said was useful, share this video with your friends and family members. It's one of the only few ways that this video actually gets out to the general public. Without you guys, I wouldn't be here. This is why I love you guys. If you haven't watched yesterday's video yet, please do. Right now, it provides some very important context to the latest developments. Click on that link right now. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.